running.
Okay, so I guess I'm sorry, we'll have to do that again.
Aye.
Yep, go for it.
You finished clonking?
Sorry,
Yes.
still get comfortable.
Alright,
Yeah,
good.
fine.
Alright, so first of all, just the idea behind the song.
It came. I was well. I think I find it really difficult to find words to use. So I was trying to. I lost it. Yeah. No, I find it difficult to find words to use, and I was trying to write a song about my experience of living and thinking that a lot of the time I'm not actually aware of what I'm doing, you know, and then for a bit of the time it feels like I am aware of what I'm doing, and that could be the time when I'm kind of thinking, and the rest of the time I'm not thinking. And so it seems like life is divided up into those kind of two areas, you know. And I feel like a lot of the time I've got no idea what I'm doing, you know. And then later I kind of think about it and have a wee bit of an idea, and then I go back to maybe not having any idea. And I was just trying to write a song about swinging between the two states, you know, of being aware of yourself and then not being aware of yourself, you know.
And then we were talking about this idea of, do you feel more creative? No, sorry, that's not right, that wasn't an idea at all. We were talking about whether creativity comes more when you are thinking or when you're not thinking.
I think that I think probably the best times are the times when you're not thinking, when you're spontaneous and instinctive about things, you know. Certainly when I see other people doing things, I always think I like them when they're being spontaneous, you know, and not when they're kind of controlled and sort of artificial, you know. But I think the problem with that, if you're dealing with yourself, is that you can't be aware of yourself without, you know, if you are aware of yourself, then you're not being spontaneous, you know, you're then kind of controlling yourself. And that's kind of the problem with it, that is the like coping with being out of control is a difficult thing to do, you know. And it feels like life is like a kind of big is like a seesaw where you kind of veer towards being out of control, and then you try and pull back a wee bit. And in the song, there's two chords in the song, and there's one chord for thinking and one chord for not thinking, you know. And I didn't want to use more chords than I thought were necessary. You know.
And so, sort of following on a bit from the idea, can you shut yourself off and say, I need some time, this is my time to be creative, or do things come to you all the time? Is it a constant thing for you? Is it just being in, you know, life? And
it's all the time. I think that work happens all the time, but the more I work, the more I think that I don't really know when I work, you know, or when ideas come, or what would be called inspiration. You know, I don't know what that is. But because I don't know when I work, I think the best thing to do, given that, is to try to, I kind of keep everything and try and record everything, so that, because I never know what might be the work, you know, until. In fact, the more I work, the more I think that it's not that people who think they know about their own work are stupid, really, because it's really other people who decide, you know, what your work is, because it's other people who, you know, might like it or not like it, you know, make use of it or not, you know. So I just feel like I'm shooting in the dark, really, you know.
So sort of taking the songs, does that mean when you start out you didn't have a clear idea of how it was going to end, or did you have an idea of how you wanted it to feel? What's the thing that's driving you through that process of making the song that you keep in your mind, or does it just go off in whatever direction it wants? How does that kind of work?
I try and work like totally open-endedly without knowing what I want, because I don't know what I want, and so I try not to like prejudge what it might be like, you know. And this song came from the lyrics thinking and not thinking, the two states of mind, you know, or states of life or something like that, and then thinking, how can I, you know, write music that goes. I find it really difficult to to work out how you can put music with words, like, and what the relationship could be between them, you know. So having one chord for each lyric is like a simple kind of way to do that, and that helped to build up the song, you know. And then other than that, for me it's a matter of like trying to live with it, and you know, and see if the next day, I think it's always a good test to live with things, and if the next day or the next week, you know, they still are exciting and you feel like they're worth getting up in the morning to do, you know, then that's a good sign, you know.
And then the video that goes along with it, at what point did you get the idea for the video? Was it when you were still doing the song? Was it once the song was complete?
No, it was it was around the time that I was first working on that song that I saw these dogs at this guy's house. I was looking to buy a piano, and the guy that was selling the piano, I went to look at the piano, and he had these dogs, Orson and Sparky, and so I phoned him the next day and said I didn't want to buy the piano, but could I borrow his dogs, and then I made the film of them. And it wasn't really planned, you know. I just thought I'll try to make them walk across in front of the camera, you know. And but it was only later that I put it together with the song, you know. In fact, that was quite recently. I've been working with this dog footage for ages, like trying to work out what to do with it, you know. And then I thought suddenly that it went, because there's the big and the small, the two sides, you know, that I thought it went with the lyrics. And I tried to put them together.
So does one dog stand for one?
Aye.
Each dog?
The little dog stands for thinking. You know, like someone trying really hard to kind of control the situation. And then the big lumbering, clumsy dog stands for not thinking, you know.
And how did you work with animals before? Was it something? I mean, was that a new experience trying to get animals involved in what you do and how?
No, I never actually. I think that I've always been really scared of dogs, and I kind of grew up with cats, but I never. Well, I was scared of dogs. I don't know. It's not that I didn't like them. I just didn't. I found them kind of scary, you know. And so I don't know why. I don't know, but maybe I kind of think maybe sometimes it's good to do things that you're scared of, you know. Because I think that if you kind of always work on things that you like, if I do everything that I like to do, that's just going to end up with me, you know, sitting on the sofa watching TV, you know. You know, in kind of comfort and feeling nice. But so it feels like maybe if it's good to try and do things that I'm scared of, and that you know, kind of are more, and that's more exciting, you know.
What's your kind of your personal relationship with music? What kind of music do you like to listen to, and how do you like to see yourself as as a musician?
Oh, I think I don't really. I try not to distinguish between, you know, music and visual work. Like, I think when you look at something, you can't look at something without listening to something, you know, and you can't listen to something without looking at something, you know, and therefore it's impossible to separate the different senses, you know. So I feel like life is a kind of big soup, you know, that includes things to look at and noises, you know, and I don't really distinguish between the two. you know. But I grew up, I kind of grew up with a lot of classical music and as well as pop bands. Like I was really into the Jam when I was growing up, you know. I learned kind of violin and piano, so I kind of knew. My parents took us to classical music concerts quite a lot, you know, and so it's kind of a mixture of music. I was really into country and western music in Scotland. You know, country and western's a really big thing.
Is there anyone sort of now that you think is doing good things creatively with music? Is there anyone, you know, sort of doing something a bit different that you think?
I think there's a lot of. I don't know. I just like a lot of music. I like most music really. You know, like funny noises. You know, funny noises in a row. You know.
Do you use music when you're creating? You know, when say you've got an exhibition opening in a couple of weeks' time that you're working on now. How would music influence you in that, or does it? I mean, does music influence you when you're doing stuff like that?
I try since I've been kind of trying to make visual work that's more like music, you know. I kind of started getting into trying to write music exactly because of what I thought was a failure in these visual works that I made, because I thought that the painting or the thing on the wall is that's like the bit left over at the end, you know, after you've finished working. It's like it's kind of like the sediment at the bottom of the glass, you know. But what I like doing is like drinking the glass of wine, you know. And something like a piece of music is something that makes itself in front of you while you're listening to it, you know, as opposed to just being the bit left over after the artist's gone away, you know. And I was kind of thinking about that got me into trying to write some pieces of music, because I thought it might be a better way to tell a story or something like that, you know. I forgot the.
Yeah. Now, you were saying a little bit before we started filming about the way you're working this time with this exhibition slightly differently.
Aye.
So tell me a bit about how you're working on it and why you chose to work in this sort of different way this time.
What I noticed when often when I work up to deadlines, I work right up to the deadline, because it only feels like it's only when I get to the deadline that I really feel the real thing, you know. Before that, it's all just kind of theoretical, you know. I feel like a goldfish, you know. People say that goldfish don't have a memory, you know, and I feel like that, you know, like I can't. So if I'm thinking in advance about a show or a gig or something, I can't imagine what it's going to be like, you know. So then I leave it to the last minute to scrabble everything together. And I thought for this show I would in this gallery, I thought I would maybe plan that, and so instead of making the work and then changing it at the last minute or panicking about it, I thought I'll just wait and I'll plan to make the work just before the show. But it's so I've been doing that in the last week, but in a way that maybe it's a wee bit like, well, it reminds me of kind of like the like a more like a kind of music session where maybe you get, because I brought in some people to help me, like in a music session where you might bring in some musicians and work with them for a couple of weeks, you know. So it's been a bit like that, you know, doing the show.
So the show becomes the live gig at the end of the.
Exactly, yeah.
And then are you someone who, so the opening day of the show, are you someone who will you go in and then be like, oh, actually I might want to change it, or do you accept once it's done, is it complete and perfect in your eyes?
No, it's not perfect at all. No, I don't. I try to think of everything as a little tryout, you know. So everything is a wee experiment, and if I think of it like that, it helps me to think, well, you know, that I might feel weird about that now, but later I can maybe try another way of doing it, you know. So that's the way I think of it. And but also because I think it just takes a lot of time to know especially when works are new, you know, you just kind of hope that over time they will prove to still be, you know, exciting, and it's impossible to tell, you know. So I at the moment I can't tell whether these new works I've made at the gallery are just a kind of like a little, I'm just kind of like surfing on a wee wave of fashion or something, or whether, you know, which, so that next year I'll look back and think, oh, that was just, you know, not that good, or maybe next year I'll still think that they're all right, you know. I think it takes years to for things to prove themselves, you know, to me anyway, you know, like.
So essentially, your relationship with each work will change over time. Does that work both ways? Can it go from positive to negative as well as negative to positive? Does it?
Aye, both ways. Aye, definitely. And I think and it does go up and down, you know, as well. You kind of come in and out, but I think most things that I like are kind of quite constant, you know, things that you know, most things I like the best are things that I kind of keep coming back to, you know. Like whether it's an artist I like, or a piece of music or something, you know.
Do you think is it an exciting time at the moment for British artists? Is there a lot going on in the scene at the moment?
I don't really know. I don't know. I think that things are just more and more international, so that there isn't. I never really liked. I always thought there are these young British artists, you know, but I always thought, I want to be like an international, you know. I don't want to be kind of provincial. But I think the way the world is so much, the internationality of, you know, of everything just being kind of mixed together I think that's brilliant, you know.
Are there any like big hubs of creativity at the moment and across Europe or anything that?
I don't know. No, not in my mind really. I mean, I think that everywhere. I do like big cities, you know. I like big cities because so many people in them, you know.
And do you find you have, obviously, like technology and things are changing so much every week? Does that come into now your art a lot more? Do you have to sort of, you know, it's like the Twitter generation, it's the iPod generation. Does that all affect you in the way you look at things?
It does, but it does. The new technology, it means there's more kind of to take in, but I think that you know, I think I'm quite slow, so I can only do what I can, you know, to do things, but kind of I like all forms of communication, you know. So the new, you know, the all any kind of new way of communicating seems like to me is an exciting thing, you know.
And how do you say you challenge yourself the most? What's the sort of biggest challenge you give yourself?
I don't know. I just think I want to make. You know, I'd like to kind of make work that's kind of got everything in it. You know.
And do you think? Do you create things for yourself? Do you create things with a certain audience in mind? Who are you thinking of when you do your shows?
I know I do it for myself and try to be happy with it, and then I hope that, and then if I'm happy with it, or I don't know, happy isn't really the word. If I, you know, think it's worth doing, then I feel. Then I would, if I can get to that point, then I feel able to let it out and not worry too much about it. I think work should be like a good work should be like a diamond, or so it's kind of unbreakable, and people can, you know, stamp on it, but it'll still remain like a perfect thing. Or like a football, like something that people can kick around, you know, and play with, but that still remains complete, you know. And because I think when you let things out, like I think putting your work into the world is like it's like your wee babies there, you know, and I don't want them to get damaged, you know.
Do you feel kind of vulnerable? Is it quite a vulnerable feeling when you first put things out?
Yeah, very much, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of putting yourself out there.
Aye, exactly. But I think that you know there's a limit to what you can do. I think that you know you can't because you can't control other people. You know, much as I would like to. You know, I've tried, but I don't think I can. It doesn't seem to work. You know, so all I can do is do what I can, and then hope that other people might like it. You know, or whatever. You know.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for talking to
Oh,
us.
it's a pleasure.
Ident.
Yeah. Could you just do a quick ident for a show we do called Entertainment
Oh yeah,
Now?
sure, aye.
Just straight
down
into
the
the
lens, yeah, please.
Oh yeah.
straight into the lens.
What shall I?
Introduce yourself and say
Oh, yeah.
you're watching Entertainment Now,
Or any however you
or
want to do
anything
it.
like that
Yeah.
variation
Along
of
those-
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can say what you like.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello. This is television, and the program is called Entertainment Now.
Cool.
Is that good?
That was
Yeah.
fine. Do you
Yeah.
want to do one introducing yourself? Or
All right.
you don't
aye,
have
okay,
to.
aye. No, I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I could introduce myself.
And
Yeah.
say, yeah.
We'll do one more, then we'll give them two options.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. My names are Martin and Creed, and the names of the show are Entertainment and Now.
I like it.
Excellent.
Good.